There is a figure that has been chasing you in your dreams for years. You have always assumed it wanted to hurt you. But the Jungians discover something stranger. The figure chasing you is not your enemy. It is a part of yourself trying to deliver a message, and the faster you run, the louder it has to scream. Tonight you will learn what it has been trying to say, and why your unconscious will not stop sending it. Almost every adult on Earth has had this dream. A figure behind you gaining ground in the dark. Your legs grow heavy, your breath shortens. The hallway stretches the harder you sprint. The exits move further away the closer you get. You wake up sweating, you assume it was random, you assume it meant nothing at all. But Carl Jung would tell you something uncomfortable. Nothing in a dream is random. Especially the thing that frightens you most. The dream is precise. It shows that figure on purpose. The chase dream is one of the most universal images in the human psyche. It crosses cultures, eras, and continents. A child in Tokyo has it. A grandmother in Ohio has it. A monk in the mountains has it. That kind of universality always points to something the Jungians took seriously. An archetype is moving underneath. Something older than your personality is speaking through the dream. Something older than your name. Most people respond to the chase dream by trying to forget it. They tell themselves it was just stress. They drink water, they check their phone, they move on with the morning and bury it again. But the dream returns. Maybe in a week, maybe in a year. Sometimes wearing a slightly different face. That repetition is the first clue. The unconscious does not waste energy on meaningless theater. If it keeps sending the same figure, you keep failing to receive the message. The chase will continue until you turn around. This is the part of the dream most people never understand. You are not supposed to outrun the figure. You are supposed to stop, look, and ask one quiet question. What part of me are you? Carl Jung spent decades cataloging dreams. His own, his patients, and the dreams of strangers who wrote to him. He noticed a pattern that defied logic. The figures that terrified people in dreams were almost never external threats. They were rejected pieces of the dreamer's own psyche. He called this hidden territory the shadow. The shadow is not evil. The shadow is simply everything about you that you have refused to look at. Your anger, your envy, your hunger, your softness, your power. Anything you were taught to hide. When you bury a part of yourself, it does not die. It goes underground and waits in silence. And at night, when your ego loosens its grip, that buried part comes looking for you. It wears the only face it has. The face of something chasing you in the dark. The face you trained yourself to fear long ago. But Jung discovered something even more uncomfortable. The shadow grows in proportion to your denial. The more you refuse it, the larger it becomes. The longer you exile it, the louder its return. This is why chase dreams often intensify in adulthood. You have had more years to push more of yourself away. Picture this. You walk into a room, a coworker says something neutral. Yet within seconds, you feel an old familiar tightness rise. That tightness is the shadow brushing against your awareness in daylight. The dream is the same visitor in nighttime clothing. The chase is simply the louder version. The Jungians have a name for what just happened. They call it the return of the repressed. What you push away by day arrives at night in symbolic form. The shadow always finds a door back in. Stay with me here. This next part will explain something you have never been able to articulate. Most dream chasers report a strange detail. The figure behind them never quite catches up. It stays just close enough to terrify, but never close enough to grab. That is not a flaw in the dream. That is the dream's intelligence at work. If the figure caught you, the dream would simply end. The message would never land, so the chase has to remain unfinished on purpose. The unconscious keeps the distance perfect. Close enough to demand attention, far enough to keep you running. Until one night, exhausted, you stop. And that is when the real work begins. There are specific signs your chase dream is a shadow message rather than random nightmare static. The first sign is repetition. The same figure, the same setting, the same heaviness in your legs. Repetition is the unconscious underlining a word in red. The second sign is recognition. Somewhere deep, the figure feels familiar. Not like a stranger. More like someone you used to know. That familiarity is the giveaway you keep missing. You are running from a piece of yourself in a costume the conscious mind cannot identify. The third sign is the feeling left in the body upon waking. Shame. Smallness. a strange guilt with no clear cause. That residue is the emotion you exiled long ago. The dream is returning it to your doorstep for collection. The fourth sign is the timing. Chase dreams often arrive during periods of waking suppression. When you are pretending to be fine, when you are performing competence, when you are swallowing what you really feel, the dream arrives to balance the lie. The fifth sign is the geography. You are usually somewhere familiar. A childhood home, an old school hallway. That location is a hint. The shadow you are running from was likely buried in that exact period of your life. If you have ever noticed any of these patterns, you are not broken. You are encountering what you are called the shadow. And the shadow is not chasing you to destroy you. It is chasing you to be reunited. Carl Jung wrote that the meeting with oneself is the most terrifying meeting of all. The chase dream is that meeting beginning. Most people spend their entire lives outrunning this meeting. They stay busy. They stay distracted. They stay loud. But the unconscious is patient. It has 100 ways to arrange the encounter. The dream is only one of them. Refuse it, and the unconscious will choose another door. Comment below with a single word if a chase dream has visited you recently. Just write, chased. It helps others know they are not alone in this experience. Then return here for the real shift. The next part is where the work actually begins. Do not skip what comes next. The Jungian method for working with the chase dream is counterintuitive. You do not analyze it from a distance. You re-enter it, awake, on purpose, with your body safe in a chair and your eyes closed. Jung called this technique active imagination. It is one of the most powerful tools in depth psychology. You sit quietly. You bring the dream back into your mind. You see the figure behind you in detail again. Then you do the one thing you have never done in the dream itself. You turn around inside the image. You stop running. You face the figure. And you ask it a single sentence with genuine curiosity. No defense, no script. What do you want me to know? Then you wait in silence for whatever rises. The answer rises from a layer of psyche you usually cannot access. It may come as an image, a feeling, a sentence. It will surprise you. That is how you know it is real. The conscious mind cannot fake the unconscious. Many who try this report the same astonishing thing. The figure does not attack them. It speaks. Sometimes it weeps. Sometimes it shows them an old memory they had forgotten on purpose. Sometimes it simply says something like, I am the part of you that was never allowed to be angry, or sad, or wanting, or proud, or fully alive in a body that had nowhere safe to land. That moment of recognition is what Jung called integration. The exile returns home. The chase ends. Not because you defeated the figure, but because you finally listened. This is the part most modern therapy never addresses. The unconscious has its own intelligence. It is not always working against you. Sometimes the thing chasing you is the only piece of you still fighting for wholeness. The rest has been hiding in plain sight. When you integrate a shadow figure through this practice, something quiet shifts. The dream stops repeating. Not always immediately, sometimes over weeks, but the figure stops needing to scream. It does not need to scream because you finally heard it. The hallway empties on its own. And in waking life, an old reactivity loosens its grip. The coworker who used to trigger you becomes less interesting. The memory that used to sting becomes less sharp. The energy you spent suppressing this part of yourself returns home. That returned energy is what Jung called the gold in the shadow. Buried inside everything you exiled is power you never knew you had. The angry self holds your boundaries. The sad self holds your death. The hungry self holds your aliveness. The wanting self holds the future you have been afraid to cling. When you stop running, you do not just end the dream, you inherit the parts that were carrying your strength. This is why people who do real shadow work often look different within months. There is a settled quality to them. A weight has lifted, not because life got easier, but because they stopped fighting an internal civil war. Tonight, before you sleep, do this simple practice. Take a single blank page. Write down the last chase dream you can remember. Describe the figure as fully as you can. Even if it had no clear face, describe its presence, the heaviness, the shape, the mood it carried. Then write one sentence at the bottom of the page. If you were a part of me, what part would you be? Leave the page beside your bed. Do not force an answer. Sleep with the question open. Your unconscious will go to work while you rest. The answer may arrive in the morning or in another dream. Or, in a strange moment 3 days from now, when you suddenly understand, that is the unconscious speaking back. Do not be surprised if the answer is older than you expect. Shadows are often formed in childhood. They are formed when you are too small to hold them. A 6-year-old cannot integrate rage, so they bury it. 40 years later, it shows up wearing boots in a hallway, and you call it a nightmare. The chase dream is not a curse, it is an invitation that has been waiting at your door for years. You can keep running. Many people do. They run their whole lives and call it a personality. Or you can turn around. You can do the one brave thing the dream has been asking of you. You can meet the part of yourself you were taught to fear and discover it was never the monster. It was the messenger. It was carrying the piece of you that was missing all along. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is your unfinished self running behind you, asking to come home. The next time it appears in a dream, do not wake up afraid. Wake up curious instead. Something in you is finally close enough to be seen. The work is to stop running and start listening. That is the Jungian way. That is the work of becoming whole. Welcome to the path.